Carol. How are you? I wish I could do that.
Renee?
Not feeling it, girls. What, Mayor?
The principals are going to be in the waiting room. So when you
Okay.
say administrative updates, then I'll let them in.
They're going to do them?
Yeah, right, Mayor?
Okay. You know why? Because my agenda was weird. It didn't. Hang on. Okay, because my agenda was weird. It said no pledge to the flag. It goes right to attorney's report and citizens open forum.
No, you should do.
Yeah, that's how they are.
Administrative reports are going to go first, right? Mayor?
I'm sorry, what? You're going to do board reports and then administrative reports.
Right.
Mhm.
Said he can't get in.
Who can't?
But you should start the meeting with your regular.
I will. I just want to make sure I know who's here from the board. Heather, Carol, Ed, Tom, myself, because I can't see anything
Kevin.
other than.
Kevin, everybody but Derek.
Kevin's here. Yeah, everybody
Okay,
but
because
there.
I don't see him on my list. He's not on my. Oh, hang on. Sorry. All right. We gotta get moving. What time is it? Is it 7? No, we got a minute. Sorry. My phone's going cuckoo here. Almost time, okay? I want to do the pledge, but I'm not making everybody, if you want to stand up, stand up. If you don't, I mean, where's your, Kevin, don't laugh. I look right at him. He's chuckling. Okay. Oh, there he goes. I'm giving you time, Ron. So I'm ready to go as soon as you give me the okay. Okay. These Zoom meetings kill me. Okay. Good morning, or good morning. Good evening, everybody. It's November 10th, 2020. Welcome to our board meeting. We are back to virtual meetings due to the COVID-19 virus. I hope everybody is safe and well. Could we please stand for the pledge to the flag? Or from where you're seated is fine. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please take a moment for silent reflection. Could I have roll call, please, Marianne?
Yes. Mr. Rashka. Thumbs up. Mr. Leary.
Here.
Thank you. Mrs. Karopolsky.
Here.
Mrs. Wilson.
Here.
Mrs. Dubard.
Present.
Mr. Schaefer.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, now I'm flying here off this paper and my agenda looks different than it usually does to me. So do I need an approval for board meeting minutes from the last board?
Yes, from
please?
October 13th.
Okay, that's not on here. October 13th, 2020. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion.
In a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mr. Raska, second by Mrs. Dubard. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Okay. Board trustee reports. I'd like to start. Just a reminder, everybody mute yourself unless you're going to speak, so then we don't hear everybody's background noise. I'm going to start, I think, let's start with Mr. Schaefer. Anything, Ed? Nothing? Okay. Mr. Leary?
Just want to say it was great to be at the groundbreaking ceremony. I'm sure that other folks will have a lot of things to say about that. That was a wonderful event. It was so nice to see the children singing, and it was a really nice event. I was glad to be there. And then also, I was very happy to take my children in the Halloween festivities that happened with the drive-through. I thought it worked out great. Obviously, we were all social distanced. It was wonderful opportunity to see all of the different displays that were decorated by students and staff at Union East. It was a delightful time, and my children absolutely enjoyed it. So good job, Union East. Thanks so much for that. It was a great evening out for the family.
Thanks, Kevin. Mrs. Dubard? Heather?
Hi, I attended the, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Barely.
Okay.
Can everybody hear me? Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes? No?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so you can barely hear me. Okay, so I was able to virtually attend the groundbreaking ceremony. As some people know, I am dealing with some things that are personal with my mom. So I had to take an excessive amount of work off. So my days are limited, so I couldn't be there, unfortunately. But it was so nice to see the kids singing, like Kevin mentioned, and it was nice, and it was really fantastic, and I can't wait to see the progress that it's going to be making. I have been able to attend some things from the convention. I'm still getting through those days on my free time to get into some of those presentations. What I like about this is live, and you have to pick and choose kind of what you can attend and what you can't attend. But with the virtual convention, you literally can go to everything. So whatever you wouldn't have been able to go to before, you can now attend, which is really, really nice. So I'm really, really enjoying that as well. And that's all that I have to report on right now. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Mrs. Kurpolski?
Hi. I also was able to go to the virtual groundbreaking. It was great to hear our kiddos sing. It was exciting to be a part of that and to see us making progress on what's going to be a great addition to Union East. I also attended the convention. I started with the communications workshop, and I attended the law seminar, and of course the convention. And I agree with Heather, it was nice because even if you saw two things you wanted in the same time slot, you could go back later and watch the other session that you missed. They had a lot of great information, of course, pertaining to all of the things that are going on with COVID, especially the law conference had a lot of things to review for as far as how it will affect our staff and our building, our district. So those were all great things to go to. I also was able to go to a socially distanced soccer game where I was able to observe from my car, and congratulations on all the athletes. I certainly did not get to nearly as many things as I would had we been in a normal situation, but I did try to go. It was nice because a lot of the stuff was streamed on Twitter and Facebook, so I was able to see a lot of the games that way. And then today, the middle school had, I was very proud of them for figuring out a way to still celebrate Veterans Day, how they always have the Veterans Day breakfast. And they did a drive-through, and it was amazing. They had the flags out, looped around the drive, so that any veterans that came could stand in front of which service they represented. And they had coffee and breakfast sandwiches provided by Tim Hortons. So thank you to Tim Hortons for helping our district out with that. They had Cheektowaga Police Department, some of their veterans that are now police officers were there to support them. Mr. Dolan came out with his kids and performed for us. And of course, the weather could not have been better. So it was a great day to be doing an outdoor drive-through. So congratulations to the middle school for stepping up and continuing something that is very dear to what they began there in the middle school, and for finding a way to bring some normalcy to our kids, something that they're used to doing And it really was just nice to see them thinking outside the box and figuring out what they could do. So congratulations to them for that. And that's it.
Thank you, Carol. Mr. Raska, anything to report?
Nothing to report at this time.
Okay, thank you. Derek, welcome. I'm sorry you had a hard time getting on. I'm glad you're with us. We're at board trustee reports. Do you have anything that you want to report to us on? Unmute your mic. You have to unmute your mic. We can't hear you. Unmute your mic, please. I don't think he can do it. Derek, if you go on the top of the screen,
Muted.
you'll see the mic. If you click on it.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, we hear.
Okay,
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
go ahead. We can hear you, Derek. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I think he might be cutting in and out. Okay, we can't hear you, Derek. We're gonna have to kind of move along. We'll have to try again to see if we can get through to you or hear you. Okay, so we're gonna move on to administrative updates.
I'm letting them all in now.
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. Give me a minute. I didn't do my stuff. I'm sorry. Real quick, I'll go over it. I was at the groundbreaking ceremony for Union East. It was fantastic. I'm sorry, Melissa. And they did such a fantastic job. Mrs. Mitchell with her kids and with her staff, and Mr. Vona, Buffalo contract consultants. They were wonderful. I have to say that, for such a tumultuous time that we're in as a community and as a school district, that was quite an enlightening event for me. It makes you really step back and say, you know what, amidst all this craziness, there is this normalcy, and it's so nice to see it going on and to have everybody so involved. And I'm really thankful and grateful that the board participation was good there. The Halloween festivities that Union East put on for the kids, fantastic. Like Mr. Leary said, it's all about the kids. And when the kids are happy and they still can participate with all this craziness going on, and we make them happy, and you go outside of the box to do it, you did a wonderful thing. I attended a BOCES meeting, an ECASB meeting for my board members that have not signed up or that have signed up and aren't aware. Things that were going on this week. We're really busy at the county level with Dave Little and our legislative breakfast and a dessert forum coming up. If you did sign up, watch your emails, because the new directions coming out on whether you're staying virtual, whether you're in that group of certain amount of people that are allowed to go, everything is changing because we're yellow. And I will reiterate that it's important to remember, wash your hands, stay socially distanced, and wear your mask, because we have to try to get this thing under control. And I think, and I know that we're all doing the best we can. To our families out there and our kiddos out there and our staff out there that are struggling through this, we're here for you. We feel your pain. We're all going through it, and we will get through this together. This will eventually go away, and we're going to be, I know this sounds cliche, we're going to be stronger for it. We really will. So now we will go to administrative updates. Mrs. Mitchell, I'm sorry. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you again for all of your attendance at the groundbreaking ceremony. It's pretty cool to watch the progress, and we have some great aerial photos that we will be sharing with our families as we have been taking them from the roof, because you really can get a good sense at this point, because it's really a lot of excavating and rock work with the foundation to get it going. But the kids definitely enjoy all of the busy truck traffic around the campus at this point.
Oh yeah, it's exciting.
So as far as an update from Union East, in regards to learning, this week we are administering our second round of the STAR assessment in both reading and math to all of our students. And this will give us a good sense of our students' growth from September until November. And we have rolled out the first step in our data protocol process, looking at our students' data specifically at the standards that have been taught or are going to be taught to really focus our instruction. And with our second round of STAR assessments being given, we will be able to move into our next steps, which is looking at individual student growth. So we can focus really on the students not only achieving, but growing within their achievement levels. So we are excited about what this data that we are gathering this week will be able to provide for us. We are currently in the middle of piloting a Freckle Math and a Freckle ELA program, which are skill-based programs that are directly aligned to our STAR assessment. So they will be good intervention steps for our students. It is an electronic platform, but it'll provide another form of intervention for our students that is very skill and standard specific. And last week we worked with Angela Prince and our SEP process. It really was 4 great days of work. I have to say I'm so proud of the group of teachers that really worked together to develop the plan. And I'm looking forward to the opportunity to rolling it out to both our school building and our board with what our steps are for our school building. I really think the plan that the teachers came up with will help us to move forward and really make some improvement and some headway, really just putting things in just a little bit more of an organized fashion for what we're already doing. So, it really was good work that happened last week over the 4 days. We worked in 4 half-day sessions. With regard to Hold, we are currently pushing out social emotional learning lessons that are provided for us through the BEST program. And those are shared with students in grades UPK through grade 2. And we are pushing them out through our Class Dojo, which is a parent communication platform. And we currently right now are very proud that we have over 2/3 of our school connected on Class Dojo. So we know that when a message goes out that we are able to connect with that many of our families instantaneously. It's essentially like a Facebook for dojos, and it's connected to the Union East one. So it's a great way to share information, pictures, and updates with our families. And it also translates information for families and provides us with some feedback, a way to comment and answer questions. So it's a great communication tool for our school. And lastly, with regards to 20 skills, I think this is really a time where all of our teachers, as well as our students, are continuing to learn and apply new skills with regards to technology. And it's very exciting to see our teachers finding opportunities for students to apply those 5 C's of collaboration and communication. Recently in the 4th grade 21st century classroom, they created bone bridges that they created structures out of popsicle sticks, but they were pretending they were bones. And so they're still providing those opportunities for our students to work together, to collaborate, and to then communicate and share. So we're very proud that we're still able to provide those opportunities for our students in a safe manner. So definitely busy at Union East. Lots of learning is happening both in our school building and remotely, and we look forward to that continuing.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Mitchell. Next, I'd like to hear from Mr. Cullinan, if we could, please.
Sure thing. Nice to see everybody tonight. Kudos to Mrs. Mitchell, because I got to be honest with you, I don't know how she's able to do everything she's balancing over there with the groundbreaking to the online to all the issues going on. And so congratulations. I was fortunate enough with my assistant, Katie Daniels, to watch the groundbreaking via the internet as well, because we were in our CSET meeting. And so we also had 4 days of meetings, and we were meeting during that time of the groundbreaking. But it was great to see, and it's exciting with that going on in our district. Obviously, it's something that we definitely need. And I'm excited to see Mrs. Mitchell and the staff over there take advantage of that new space they'll have very soon. So kudos to them. From terms of the middle school, so one of the big events we had shortly after our last time we met with you guys was our virtual open house. And I know we have a parent who was there, and we had some issues
Oh, I forgot to say.
back and forth, and it was in and out. It was in and out, but we eventually got it going, and we were able to make sure that all our parents eventually were able to hook on to the open house, and they were able to watch the videos that our teachers posted. They were able to catch up with the syllabus and what expectations were by the teachers. And our teachers did a great job of pushing out things that was friendly, that was simple to watch, and that was very easy to understand. And so I thought for the first time at our virtual open house went very well. We also had a couple parent Google sessions. We've had some interest from parents about learning more about how to use Google Classroom. So what we did is we utilized our Daniel Lynch connection at BOCES, and he was able to run 2 parent sessions that turned out majority of parents from the middle school, but some from the high school as well. We had about 45 parents who tuned in. We had 2 sessions, one in the afternoon and one in the evening on 2 different days. And he took them through a good hour or so of just kind of simple Google questions. Google, this is how to do this, how to do that, how to monitor the classroom. And a lot of our parents were very responsive, and I think they really enjoyed it. So we really appreciate Daniel Lynch stepping up and helping us out with that. We then used Daniel Lynch from BOCES as well to help our teachers with some PD on how to utilize different platforms on the internet, from Nearpod to Google Classroom to a variety of others. And we had a good variety. We had about 43 teachers who joined that. And that was excellent for them to kind of just use his expertise to learn different formats to push out. And, now obviously the situation we're in is going to come in extremely handy. So that was very instrumental in helping our teachers really become up to speed on what they need to do. We continue our professional development with our reading program and writers workshop with our consultant, Dr. Jean Trabuzzi. Our teachers have utilized her across the board for both reading and writing, and she's done a tremendous job of pushing different things out. It's obviously a challenge for everybody across the board trying to learn how to do it virtually, but they're doing a great job of trying and trying to implement what they can. And as the more we practice, the better we'll get at it. So we'll continue to do that as we go along. We also had a professional development day where we utilized 2 of our teachers, Tiffany Vanderbeck, who's our art teacher. We utilized her to teach her colleagues the ins and outs of Flipgrid, which is a very simple program that is very beneficial that kids can be very interactive with. And then we used Alex Baker, who's our tech guru in the middle school, who was able to use some different video making techniques, editing techniques, and he pushed those out to teachers and showed them, in what he called his 101 class, and he's hoping to do a more advanced one down the line. But I know a lot of the teachers really utilized watching Alex and learning from him. And, it's amazing to kind of see the development of a lot of our teachers learning technology, especially those that you could tell really weren't into technology, but now they realize that they kind of have to be, because that's kind of the wave of where we are. And having teachers on staff that are willing to step up and give PD is very important and extremely instrumental in helping us push that out. We had a nice team of teachers, parents, counselors that were together for our CSET committee. And we did those 4 days with Mrs. Prince from the Ed Life Consultant Group and really pushing out some ideas, really coming up with a plan that we feel is very doable and very important for our school's future. And we felt as though the team that we put together did a very good job of really kind of meeting all the needs of our building. And we're looking forward, with the help of our parents that were on the committee as well, to put that plan into place. So we're excited about where that progress is going, and we know that we're headed in the right direction. We also have been really pushing out our Way to Go Warriors, which is a kind of a way to nominate and kind of recognize those teachers as well as students that are doing the right thing, both in person and in remote. So we've been able to recognize them in our announcements that Mr. Baker has been a great advocate for, and pushing out those announcements through using us and kind of just leading Ms. Daniels and myself through a script and helping us get that pushed out and all that information. And A lot of the kids are very excited to get recognized, to get a little treat, and to really kind of push out, and be proud of what they've been doing for one another. The numbers aren't huge, obviously, in the building, but it's nice to see the kids really taking a liking to one another on a daily basis. Obviously, discipline is very minimal, if anything, and the focus really is on instruction, which is across 5 to 8, and it's very nice to see that consistently day in and day out. We also had a Halloween event that unfortunately we didn't do for the first cohort, but we did for our second cohort B on Halloween, the actual Friday before Halloween. And our counselors, our secretaries, our social worker, our nurse did a great job of getting out on our middle school loop, lining up their cars, getting a bunch of candy and such, and passing it out to our kids who walk through the line, just to get outside, enjoy the weather a little bit, get some fresh air, and just kind of have something fun. We want to focus, obviously we're limited in our time with our students, but we're still trying to focus on being kids as well, because we know, we can't just sit there and put them behind a book or a computer screen all day. You still have to be able to be a kid a little bit. And so we wanted to make sure we did a little event there. And kudos to the teachers. They did a fantastic job of putting that together and really promoting it. We had different groups of teachers dress up, handed out some awards for some of those costumes, and it was a really good day. And then we also been doing on Friday pay days, we've been having, in collaboration with the high school, we've been doing food trucks for lunch for our staff. So we've been able to get a variety of food trucks out there, and every Friday and a couple Wednesdays as well. And the teachers are able to go out there during their lunch. We usually have it from about 10 to 2, 11 to 2, somewhere in that range, and they go out there and able to enjoy lunch. I've actually seen Mrs. Morris and Mr. Wright sneak down there to enjoy some as well. But it's just a little something to give our teachers, to show our gratitude. We know that how hard they're working and how this is not easy, but they're doing a fantastic job of trying to do everything that we need to push out the best instruction we can for our students. And lastly, I heard Ms. Kropalski talk about a little bit today. Huge thank you and kudos to Mrs. Jill Olowski and Mrs. Kate Barbady. They pushed out that Veterans Day event today, that drive-through breakfast we had, and it was just, they didn't have to tell me twice. I said, absolutely, you run with it. I know it's been going on to middle school for a while, but the two of them seem to do something special every year with it. The veterans that came through were so grateful, and they were so pleased just to stand out by their flag and take pictures, and it was just great to see. And we had the band, like they said, and the chorus was out there, a lot of 8th graders. Some of the other teachers just brought their classes out there when they could for a mass break and kind of clapped for the veterans as they went through. And it was just a really great day just to kind of watch that and to recognize, those veterans that, obviously gave a lot for all of us. And I think it's important for us and our kids especially to learn, how to show our appreciation for those that have served for us all. So that's all I have today. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cullinan. Yeah, I just want to throw that out there as well. I do appreciate our middle school for, it feels like forever, always really steps outside of the box for Veterans Day. All of our schools do. We always recognize them. We always do something. Jill Orlowski's been recognized in the past for the work that she's done to honor and recognize our veterans. So I want to say thank you again for that, because it's really special. It is, they are the reason why we have our freedom. So we appreciate it and thank you for everything. Mr. Hickson, I know you're here to represent the high school, and if you're ready, we're ready for you.
Thank you, Mrs. Wilson. I just want to say to everybody, it's been a collaborative effort from all buildings, Board of Education, staff members, central office, of course, to make sure that our students have what they need. We're trying to deliver exciting lessons, things that are integrated with technology, and trying to be cutting edge in a very difficult time where kids are remote. We don't have that face-to-face, that in-person instruction, which is the most valuable thing that we have. So I just want to say, thank you for all the support. And certainly I'm sitting in for Mr. Zip this evening, so I'll try to do my best. But we recently had, when we talk about student learning and priority 1, we were able to unfold on the 3rd of November an excellent personal development platform. We had 4 teachers that basically led our staff in some different lessons where basically teachers came with some ideas that were things that they wanted to try in their own classrooms. And so they came ready to go, and they were able to go around, and each session was close to an hour long, and they were able to cycle through. And then at the end of the PD, at the end of the day, they had lessons that they could deliver to our students, both in person and remote. And had a lot of good feedback from our teachers about how nice it was, because they had the ability to actually utilize their own curriculum and be able to utilize things like Nearpod. There's also another thing called Jamboard that they were using, and an assessment edge, which through Google Forms, they're able to see, where the students stand in terms of, getting your finger on the pulse of, does each student understand what the lesson was, the objectives, and, really be able to have that seamless information, because, whenever we're teaching, we want to make sure, obviously, we're utilizing data. We're not just going on hunches and, what we believe, because there's no questions that, kids understand it. So it was really valuable. We also had a session on Google Meets, and that was something where we're using the platform of Zoom and Google Meet to connect with our students while they're at home. And teachers found it was a very valuable day to be able to, walk away with, excellent resources that they could use as soon as they were done with that day. So on behalf of the administration, we were very, very happy, very, very excited that teachers had more resources and more tools that they could use immediately. So that was an excellent day. When we talk about the whole child, our counseling center has done a phenomenal job just trying to keep the kids connected with any support services that they may have, and trying to keep the lines of communication open. Our student services center, they've been providing our students and staff with self-care tips, positive messages that they're pushing out through social media. They're also working with a character word of the month, just to try to incorporate some things and try to keep some normalcy, because we've certainly been a character education school, and we've had that for many years, and we want to keep that going, even though we're not on campus each and every day with the students. So we've also had a pop-up contest where we have small prizes that we're able to give out for everyone who's answering back to the different questions. And also the Student Support Center has teamed up with Western New York mental health advocates, students and staff. They can have support where there's individual counseling, there's group counseling scenarios. So basically, if anyone needs anything, we've got the tools right at our fingertips to be able to help them and connect the dots. So that's been very, very critical, for us. We've also done some things for the staff. We've been able to provide some people coming in, doing some meditation, some yoga, some massages, things like that, just to make sure, because the adults in our building and in our organization, people are very quiet, very keep a lot of things inside, and I think it's very important to make sure that we check in with each other and make sure that everyone's in a good place, especially people that tend to keep to themselves. So that's obviously critical. The one other thing I'd like to say about our student support center, our counseling center, we offered the PSAT, which is a practice SAT for the junior class, and turnout was excellent, all things considered. I want to say we had, I think, close to 80 kids taking the practice SAT exam. Some kids really didn't know why they were there, but it seems to be, why should I take this? But trying to get the kids, nudge them a little bit to get to the next level, to be ready even if they think as a junior, I don't want to go to college. Why am I taking this practice test? It really doesn't mean anything. A lot of times, some of our juniors turn that corner, and their senior year or in that summertime, they're thinking, hey, I really have to start thinking about the next level. So in order to get them to take the practice exam, I think it's a great benefit to all of our students, and we couldn't do it without the support of the Board of Education, our budget process, to be able to offer this to our students. So, again, I want to say thank you to everybody who has supported that. We talk about priority 3, which is 21st century learning. And, every single day we're talking about technology and trying to connect it with our students. It is challenging. I've taken a couple phone calls recently where, making sure that we're able to reconnect with students who sometimes struggle at home, kids that are 100% remote, aren't necessarily checking in as much as they should. And sometimes they need a little encouragement, and being able to connect through a Zoom meeting or just checking on a student through our email system, and just trying to get face to face, even if it's on video, to make sure our kids aren't giving up, that they're really trying to push through some of the struggles that they may have, because they're left to their themselves a lot. And they work at all hours of the night. It's not uncommon to get emails back from students at 2 o'clock in the morning. So they're working at all different hours. So trying to support them, trying to problem solve with them, and make sure that we can utilize our technology to make sure that they're successful has been really, really critical. That's really it for the high school report. What I would like to do is just touch base quickly on athletics. As some of you may know, we've been trying to provide a platform for athletes, and it's been challenging. We were able to offer 5 different teams this year. We were able to offer boys soccer, girls soccer, varsity tennis, varsity girls tennis, varsity swimming. And so it's been a challenge, to be honest with you, especially with some of our younger students in terms of transportation and getting them, on board. But we were able to field a boys modified soccer team. We brought on a new coach, did a wonderful job with the athletes, and I can't thank the program enough for just trying to teach the skills of the game. And it was definitely different. Kids had to wear a mask while they were playing. They had to wear a mask on the sidelines. Coaches coached with a mask, and safety and security and sanitation was always our number one priority. So we were also competitive, which was really nice to see. Our boys varsity soccer program ended on a very strong note. They won their last 2 games. They had an overall record of 3-8-2, which was in a very tough division. We were in almost every single game that they played. When it came to the girls varsity soccer team, we enjoyed a lot of success. We ended up winning our last 2 games. We've been struggling for years. Numbers were very good at the varsity level. We also brought on a brand new coach for girls varsity soccer. And so as we head into the off season, we're looking to try to take this momentum and build from there. So, it was actually a pretty nice fall season, even though we could not offer our football program or our volleyball programs, both boys and girls. So we're looking to offer those in a fall 2 sports season, which will begin on March 1st. So that will be challenging, trying to start those sports, especially football being outside. March 1st, it's usually snowing, and then there's snow on the ground, so that ought to be interesting. And so we wrapped up a real nice season. It was great to see the kids out there working hard, competing, and having a sense of childhood. I thought was great. Going into our winter season, which is going to be starting after Thanksgiving, We are looking forward to a start date of November 30th, and we're really excited to be able to start that. So right now we can begin with indoor track, boys swimming, modified swimming, and we're gonna and also boys and girls bowling. So what is on the bubble is boys and girls basketball, all levels, and wrestling, varsity and modified. So we're gonna see if we get some more direction from New York State. That's what we're waiting on for those sports, and we're gonna keep our fingers crossed. But thank you everybody for your time, and I'll turn it back over to Mrs. Wilson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hickson. Boy, you have your hands full, huh? Thanks
It's been
for
fun.
keeping a little normalcy with the kids, with the athletics. I know it is a challenge, and to be able to have these kids participate at all has been a blessing in disguise. And I know that we've done the best we can to keep the social distancing and the masking and all that stuff going on. So here's our fingers crossed. Looking forward to the 30th of November with the next round of sports, and hopefully we'll know with those sports that are on the bubble, what New York State hands down. And I don't know, but I can't imagine a football season starting in the snow. They're gonna have to wear snowshoes or something, but I don't know. I can only hope, like the rest of us do, that this gives a little bit. And but the fact that we've everybody really has stepped outside the box to still do the best to let the kids and the students in our district have some of that childhood and some of what makes them happy continue to go on. So that's been a great thing. So moving forward, we have no attorney's report tonight. I do not think there's any citizens to address the board, so no citizens open forum. Is there anything that anyone would like to remove from the consent agenda? Okay, so could I please have a motion for the consent agenda, please?
I'll make a motion.
And I'll second. So I have a motion by Ms. Kuropalski, a second by Mrs. Wilson. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Renee, it was me. It was Heather.
Any opposed? It was you? Okay, because I can hardly hear, and everybody's like freezing up. I don't know what's going on, but we're doing the best we can. Okay, so it was Mrs. Dubard and myself. We have the motion and we have the all in favor. I said aye. Okay, so Superintendent's report, Mrs. Morris, you're up.
Good evening, everyone. Starting with staff related, we do have a retirement, and I'm recommending your approval of the following resignation for retirement purposes with regret and appreciation. Alice Pellegrin from her teacher aide position assigned to the high school. She's been an aide in our district since 2011. I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
And a
Heather
second?
Dubard.
I'll second.
Who is seconding it, please? Can you say your name? It'll make it
Kevin.
easier.
Mr. Leary is seconding.
Okay.
Do we do?
Thank
yeah.
you. Yeah, that's fine. I have a motion by Mr. Dubard, a second by Mr. Leary. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Carried.
Okay,
Carried.
the following notices of leave, and I believe there are 7 of them for mostly family medical leave, do not require board action. It's just for your information. Then we have board appointments for substitutes for some of those said leaves. Dana Andrews is a science teacher. Can we take them all at once, Marianne?
You can. They're also a cleaner.
Okay, we'll do the teachers, then the CSEA ones.
Okay,
Okay,
right.
so we have Dana Andrews, who's a science
Okay.
teacher. Melanie Olzak is a substitute math teacher, and Madeline Hemmer, also a substitute math teacher. Can I have a?
Could I have a motion
I'll
for these
make the
teachers,
motion.
please?
Heather
I'll
Dubard.
second. Schaefer.
I'll make the motion. Heather Dubard.
Okay, we got it. So I have a motion by Heather, a second by Mr. Schaefer. All in favor?
Aye.
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 And then we have Lauren Kelly is a part-time cleaner, and Tommy Summage is a part-time laborer.
Could I have a motion, please, for the cleaner and the laborer, please?
I'll make
I'll
the
make that
motion,
motion.
Heather Dubard.
Okay, and I'll second it. So we have a
I'll
motion by Mrs. Dubard, a second by Mrs. Wilson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Mrs. Morris, you're up.
Board related, we have policy updates. There's no action at this time. There's a slew of policies listed there for first read. And then we do have a policy deletion. The policy committee with the Board of Education and Cheektowaga Central determined that policy 7243 student data breaches is obsolete to the operation of the district. And the attorneys from Erie Wombosis recommend that we rescind that policy effective immediately. Uh-oh. Can I have a motion? Renee's
I'll make a
frozen.
motion, Carol
Or-
Kropolski.
I'll make the motion, Heather Dubard.
And a
I'll
second.
second Heather Dubard.
It's a delay. So I think Carol made the motion and Heather seconded it.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried.
Okay. So next, your
Mrs.
your
Morris?
approval is for the 2021 calendar revision. So since we have decided to pivot to remote learning on Monday, we've made some changes to this calendar, even as it's listed there. On Monday, November 23rd and Tuesday, November 24th, they will become full remote learning days. Our professional development day will be postponed to a later date, and our parent-teacher conferences will be postponed to a later date because they're very difficult to do remotely. Because we're
Right.
going to have teachers also work from home these next 2 weeks to mitigate the spread that we seem to have in our buildings. Wednesday, though, will
Okay.
remain the same as a no school day. And we're hoping to return to in-person instruction on November 30th. But we will have remote learning for the 23rd and the 24th for our students, rather than professional development and parent-teacher conferences. I want to make a caveat
Okay.
here that any parent who wants to meet with a teacher just needs to contact that teacher either through Class Dojo, email, or Google Classroom, and we will accommodate them in that way. But the official day for parent-teacher conferences will be postponed until we're back and up and running in person.
Okay. So can I have a motion to approve the calendar changes? You heard that includes Monday, November 24th or 23rd, Tuesday, November 24th will be remote learning days. The PD has been postponed. The parent-teacher conferences have been postponed. We hope to resume school November 30th. And again, Mrs. Morris, the caveat here is that the parents need to reach the teachers. They have access to do that in many different ways. Could I have a motion for this, please?
I'll make a motion. Tom Raska.
As a second, the
second
motion was
Schaefer.
made by Tom, second by Mr. Leary or Ed Schaefer.
Schaefer.
Okay. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried.
Okay, the next item of business is the New York State School Board Association membership, and the board's approval is requested for district membership in the association. And that association helps the board meet its challenging realities ahead by effecting change and providing board members leadership and support.
I'll make the motion for that. Could I have a second, please?
I'll second.
I'll second. Oh, sure.
I don't know who that was.
Derek.
Mr.
Derek
Ward,
Warbert? Okay. Mr. Warburton, all in favor? Aye.
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 our
Any
next,
opposed? Go ahead, Mrs. Morris.
our next is business related, and I will turn that over to Mrs. Tokarczyk.
Good evening. Thank you very much. I want- Oh.
Somebody went away.
I'm going to share my screen. Can everyone see what's called the Cheektowaga Central School District Statement of Budget and Actual Activities?
Yes, we can. Thank you,
Yes.
Caitlin.
Okay, so I'm going to start tonight with
Yeah.
what I called last week my budget development update. And I'm going to spend a few minutes at every meeting from now throughout budget season, just providing you an update on our progress or a certain budget topic, just as we move along here in the process. Tonight, I'm going to focus on an overview of last year's budget to actual performance and what those implications are for our 21-22 school year planning. You'll notice in the budget calendar that we talked about last meeting in October, the very last item in the calendar in July 2020 is a review of the current year budget performance. So during the summertime when we're closing the books, we'll be evaluating how our budget performed versus what we had anticipated happening to make changes for the upcoming budget season, adjust our plans as we deem necessary, part of the overall budget evaluation. So tonight I'm going to walk through a high-level overview of how our last year budget performed. This statement you're looking at right now probably looks familiar. It's from the audited financial statements, and it's a statement comparing just that, our original budget numbers to our actual budget performance. A budget is a plan for spending. Our plans change and things as we encountered this year, we know come up. But what we do in budget evaluation is to evaluate, are the assumptions we made correct, or do we need to change the plan? How can we tweak the plan going forward to better meet our needs? You'll see here in the revenue section, I'll draw your attention to overall the fact that in the 1920 school year, we received $137,000 more in revenue than we anticipated. There are changes in these individual categories that account for that total $137,000 in revenue. So in property tax items, you'll notice variances between real property tax items. The bulk of the changes is pilot agreements. So we did receive less in pilot revenue than we anticipated. You'll also notice a significant increase in our miscellaneous revenue last year. Miscellaneous revenue, as the name indicates, is pretty hard to project, and this varies year over year. Our state revenue in the 1920 school year actually was more than we anticipated, and this is largely due to an early aid payment on our 2016 capital project. So what does this tell us about what we need to adjust for going forward in the 21-22 budget cycle? Well, we'll certainly revisit the property tax items with property tax cap calculation, and we'll revisit those pilot agreements to make sure that we have appropriately accounted for the ones we know of to date. And we'll also focus our attention on state revenue sources, knowing that it will be a complicated fiscal year for the state, and we'll keep an eye on what that means for us going forward. If we move down, then we get into the expenditure picture. You'll notice across the board, we underspent our budget in the 1920 school year. And that significant underspending is primarily due to the COVID-19 remote learning that was in place from March on, especially in the transportation area. You'll notice we significantly underspent in that transportation area. So what can we take a look at for 21-22? We'll assume full-time instruction. Some of the biggest areas we evaluate, we'll look at staffing because that will affect all salaries and benefits. We'll look at our tuition budgets, both private placement and charter tuition. We'll again look at transportation, and we'll look at debt service because we will have new debt coming on for the Union East Capital Project. If we continue to scroll down, after we account for the fact that we use fund balance to start the Union East project, we ended the 1920 school year with $1.6 million in excess revenues, or surplus. So what does it mean to have this surplus, and what does it do for us going forward? So I'm going to switch screens now to a new share. This is what our fund balance presentation looks like for the last 5 years. This probably also looks familiar to you. This appears in our fund financial statements that are presented to you annually. So knowing or anticipating how much we will end a year with in fund balance allows us to plan in the future either to use that fund balance or reserves, or to fund those reserves to save for our future needs. Here's where that 1.6 total change in fund balance appears. You'll note that overall, our total fund balance and reserve number increased by that 1.6 year over year. The accounts listed above here details how exactly each one of those individual reserve balances or fund balance categories changed. The biggest decrease you'll notice is right here in our capital projects reserve. We did plan to use $1 million in capital project reserve in order to kick off our Union East project. You'll also notice this assigned for subsequent years purpose number increased. This is the number we offer in an annual budget to use a fund balance to offset spending in any given year. So this is the amount we set aside from the 1920 school year to offset spending in this 2021 school year. So during planning for this 2021 year, we identified that we'd likely have revenue shortfalls because of the COVID situation and increased spending. And so we offered $1.6 million of fund balance to use in the next year's budget. Unassigned fund balance is what results after we've accounted for all our other reserves. A question that may come to your mind is, why would we leave unassigned fund balance so high rather than fund reserves? Well, at the time of budgeting, our revenue picture was less clear given changes in state aid, and so we felt it was in the best interest of the district to maintain unassigned fund balance at a larger amount. Unassigned fund balance allows us the flexibility to meet needs as they come rather than designate specific areas of spending. So what impact does this have on our 21-22 planning? Well, we now begin to project and anticipate our fund balance numbers for the fiscal 21 school year. It will determine how much we're able to use in our 21-22 budget, or how much we're able to fund reserves. Are there any questions?
No,
Something,
thank you.
okay, something
No,
that
thank you.
comes to mind if we're looking at expenses is, well, how are we going to anticipate those needs for the 21-22 expenditures, given that we're not even midway through the 2021 school year. And we do start working on current year projections around this time so that we can estimate where we think our 2021 spending will end up. If there are no more questions on the budget development update, we are staying true to our calendar. We did meet in the end of October as an administrative team to kick off the budget season and to discuss guidelines and new expectations for this budget cycle. And we'll move into December with individual meetings. And so we are still on track in our budget development cycle. I'll go ahead and move forward then on the agenda items. The first one being financial reports. You'll find attached the budget status report as of October 31st, the revenue status report as of October 31st, and the AP and outstanding check register for October of 2020. I'd just like to point out a couple items of note. The budget status report, you'll note, has now been consolidated by function. This will give you a better picture of how each function is performing. You may be wondering why there are large amounts unencumbered, particularly in the general fund. That's not unusual for this time of year to have 15 to 20% of the budget unencumbered at this time. We still have many expenses yet coming, being that it's only November. You'll also note something in the revenue status report. I'd like to point out that to date, we've received approximately 96% of our local tax levy, which I think, given the current climate, is great news for the school district. And we have received some cuts in state aid. You may have heard about the executive budget proposal and Department of Budget reductions of approximately 20%. We have seen some payments reduced by 20% and some of them have not been. And so we're still hopeful that in the future payments are made in full, but we are keeping an eye on that on the revenue side of things. If there are no questions on the financial reports, I will move on to budget transfers. Your approval is requested for the attached budget transfers. In summary, the transfers are to fund purchases through BOCES. These are expenditures that we had not originally anticipated making through BOCES, but in making them through BOCES, we can realize some aid on them, so it's more advantageous for the district that way. And I'm also requesting to classify payroll codes. We're trying to align codes better with our ESSA building-based expenditure reports, and we've also had staff location changes.
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
So-
Heather Dubard. I'm sorry, Renee.
In a second,
I'll
Sorry.
second.
we have a motion by Mrs. Dubard and a second. I believe it was Mr. Warburton.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
The next item is the 2019 capital project bid award. Your approval is recommended for a bid award to Davis Fire Protection and Services for fire protection. You'll recall that this information was not available at the 1013 meeting, but it is here tonight. The lowest bid amount is for $124,630.
Thank you. Could I have a motion, please, for the Davis Fire and Protection Services for $124,630? Can I have a motion for the bid,
Carol.
please? And I'll second it. Renee Wilson. I have a motion by Ms. Kuropowski, a second by Mrs. Wilson. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried.
The next item is the Audit Corrective Action Plan. You'll recall in the October meeting when we were presented with the financial statements, the auditors presented a management letter which had some of their recommendations. And so we are required to record a formal response to those recommendations and submit them with the Office of the State Comptroller and the State Education Department. So attached for your review is our Audit Corrective Action Plan.
So we need to make a motion to move on that audit action plan?
Yes, I'm sorry, review and approve.
That's okay. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion, Heather Dubard.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Dubard, a second by Mr. Warburton. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried.
The next item is the 2019-20 report of reserve use. This is required to be filed with the New York State Office of the State Comptroller. This, I detailed some of this detail previously when we were talking about fund balance. This details the changes in each fund balance category from the 18-19 school year, from the 19-20 to the 19-20 school year. This is attached for your approval.
Can I have approval, please, for this, for the New York State Office of the Comptroller? Motion?
I'll make
By
the motion.
Carol
Carol
Kuropowski.
Kuropowski.
Thank you. I need a second, please.
I'll second Heather Dubard.
I have a motion by Carol Kuropowski, a second by Heather Dubard. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Next, your approval is recommended for an approval of a contract with Transportation Advisory Services. The district is exploring preparing a bid for bidding our transportation contract for the next several years. We think, given the fiscal climate right now and the significant changes in our transportation needs this year, that now may be a good time to explore a bid and take our bid to market. Transportation Advisory Services is a consulting firm that will assist us in preparing this document.
That's right.
Does anyone have any questions on this?
Mm,
No?
Mm-mm.
Okay, could I have a motion for Transportation Advisory Services, please?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
I think I have a motion by Mr. Warburton and a second by
Yeah.
Ms. Dubard.
Yes.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carried.
Last thing.
The last items is a Nestico Field / Beverly Hills facility use agreement request. Tonight we're like to bring your attention to the fact that Cheektowaga youth baseball and Cheektowaga girls fast pitched softball are in the process of merging. Tonight we are notifying you that we are exploring entering an agreement between this new merged organization and the district to maintain the baseball, softball diamonds in the district's property. We're going to request to table the approval of this document until the next board meeting, until such time as we can have more legal language prepared in terms of this agreement.
Okay, could I have a motion to table the approval of this until the next board meeting, please?
I'll make a motion, Schaefer.
And I'll second it, Wilson. I have a motion by Mr. Schaefer, a second by Mrs. Wilson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Caitlin.
Thank you. I'll turn it back over, Mrs. Morris.
Thank you. Mrs. Morris?
Unmute. Unmute.
Thank you.
Unmute, Mrs. Morris.
Thank you,
Thank
Mrs.
you.
Karzik. I think we're all set for this evening. I do not anticipate the need for an executive session.
Okay, could I have a motion to adjourn the meeting, please?
Make a
At
motion.
8:06.
I'll
And a
make a motion.
second? I'll second it. I have a motion by Mr. Warburton, a second by Mrs. Wilson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you
Thank
too.
you.
Good night.
Good night, Ms.
Thank
Morris.
you. Stay safe, everyone.
Marianne, could